Hello, this LP3 training video is for the loan register and drawer register transaction totals. To access the loan register, you can click on today's business. It'll open up for any transactions that happen today, but we're going to go ahead and select a day that closed that has transactions. Go ahead and click on options for selecting that. Today, enter date, recent report. Go ahead and pull up the report on the 26th, the last report. Select. So today's business loan register, we have our loan transactions, and then we have our transaction totals. And we're going to be going over the transaction total section. You can go ahead and pull up accounting and drawer register and do the same thing. Choose recent report, 26th. Notice that the loan transactions and the loan transaction totals are going to be the same between the loan register and drawer register, with the difference being the loan register has outstanding balance and number of accounts, and the drawer register does not. Those two do not reflect in the drawer register. So let's go ahead and take a look at the loan register, and let's go through the transaction totals, and I'll define what they are. And if at any point you don't know what one of these fields are, you can click on the help button under the loan register or drawer register, and it will take you to our training.smallloansoftware.com, and we have detailed videos, and we also have documentation that goes over what each of those fields are in the top section, middle section, and bottom section of the loan register and drawer register. Okay, so let's start out here. We have new loans, and these are in the transactions, which of the loans are new, brand new, so the first time the customer has taken out a loan. Well, I did one as an example, called it new loan for the customer name, so we have one here. We have former borrower, someone who's paid off a loan and come back in to open a new loan, and that was the second loan here, former borrower, so we counted one. We have a no cash renewal, meaning that the customer did not receive money that they had to actually pay to renew. And I have an example of a no cash renewal right here. So it counted up one. We have a borrower renew, and the borrower renew is borrower receives cash back to renew, refinance the loan. We have one here, and I have an example up here. We have an in full payoff, so a customer paid their loan in full. I have an example here, and again, it counted up one in the totals section. O is for open loan, which right now we're doing small loan, so we don't have any open loans. And then AC is for auto club, and more than likely you won't see that unless this has to do with auto club. Next, we have a number of transactions, 7. So it will count up how many transactions, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this is the total in the top section, how many? We have 7. So we have NSF or payment reversal, and that could be for a check, ACH, credit card, etc. And we have an NSF payment reversal here of 131.66, and then again it shows here 131.66 as the total, and it would total up if there was multiple to make the total of all of them, but there's only one. So BRNet, the formula for BRNet, you can actually take a look at the documentation, and it's a rather long formula. But if you want to know what the formula is to find your BRNet, you would actually open up the documentation we have. In the documentation for this particular annotation, we have the formula to find BRNet. So amount financed, $3,600. If you come up here to your top loan transaction section, amount financed, if you add these numbers together, 3,600, 3,600 here. So gross, 5,559.84. You come over here to the gross section. If you were to add these numbers up, you would actually have 5,559.84. Number of payments taken. So we took a couple of payments, and the reason why it only shows one, because we had a payment from the customer here. They didn't receive cash back, they had to pay. And then we had an in full payoff, so that would be 2. But we reversed a payment that showed as in the count last week, so we actually took one away. So we have 1 payment, 2 payments, and then we had minus a payment for reversing that payment, so took it back to 1. So we have principal collected here, and that would be the principal at the top section. So it'd be all these numbers added together minus the principal that was removed for the payment reversal. We have acquisition admin fee collected. And if you come up here, acquisition admin, it will list all the transactions. You can add those together and you would get the 157.46. If you're using the product for retail installment, you would have sales tax collected, which for this particular instance, we are not doing that. So let's take a look at finance charge. Finance charge is the difference between the amount financed and the gross. So gross minus amount financed. Gross, right up here, numbers, and then minus the amount financed section here. So if you add these up and subtract the amount financed from gross, you'll get your finance charge, which is $1,959.84. And then NSF fee. NSF fee, we had one NSF fee for the payment reversal, which is the charge for the payment not going through the customer, and that's $30 here. But if you had more, here's the section for NSF, and then we have 30 here. Late charge. Late charge right here. We have 2 late charges totaling $20, and here's the total right here for $20. And if the BR would add, if there was any bar renews, it would show you the total of any bar renew related to late charge. So PMI, past maturity interest, that section right here is when a loan, say it's a 10-month loan and at 10 months, if it's the last payment and if it's past that last payment and you still owe money on the loan, then it's called past maturity interest. So it's past maturity interest begins to occur after the maturity date of the loan. And maturity date of the loan is defined as the last contractual installment due date. And right now we don't have any loans that are past the maturity date, so there's nothing in those totals, and we have 0 here. So recovery. Recovery, payments collected on charge-off accounts. So if you've charged off somebody and you take a payment on their charge-off accounts, then it would show under recovery. So miscellaneous fees collected. The miscellaneous fees are any other fees that were not already defined in the software, like lawyers or collection or other types of fees, if you're allowed to charge them. That would be the miscellaneous fees. And you also have convenience fees. And up here you have miscellaneous and convenience together. So there would be transactions here if you were able to charge those to the customer, and they would split into miscellaneous fees and convenience or funding fees. So we have interest collected on the loan right now. It's $56.76. And then up at the top here, we have interest. So if you add these numbers, subtract the 49, it will be the $56.76. And then refunds. Any refund of interest not yet earned because of early payoff or renewal for that account period. So refunds here, we have the refund section at the top. And if you add these numbers together, 338, 92, and 84, that will give you your total here of 514.70. And then collect. Collect has a formula also that's a little bit long. So you would actually go into the help documentation, bring up the document for this section, take a look at that collect, and you can see the formula for getting your collect number. And then payment collect. We have payments will actually be split up into cash, ACH, check, debit card, and right now, if the total of the somebody makes a payment, the 251, 563, 272 minus 131, so that will be $1,087 on cash collect. They were all cash payments that were made here. And then if you subtract the 131, which is the payment reversal, then you actually get the payment collect number. So the payment collect number, and again, the formula is is in the documentation. If you go to help and pull up the documentation here, you can see the formula. But the payment collect would be everything debited and credited to then make that 956.28. Cash that was collect would be 1,087.94, which would actually be adding these numbers together. You can also have money order collect and other funds collect. Here, which is on the loan register, but not on the drawer register, is outstanding balance. So how much money total do you have out on the street? And then the number of accounts. How many accounts make up that money that is out on the street? So, cash flow. The cash flow formula. Second, let me pull that up. So cash flow is cash in and out of the drawer for the day. So it's pay collect minus proceeds. So your payment collect, which is 956.28, and then your proceeds, net proceeds, 1902.38. So that 956.28 minus the 1902.38 is your negative 946.10. And again, you can look at the documentation if you want to see that formula in case you forget. Your starting cash for the day, the amount that was in your cash drawer when you started the business day, 457.74. And then your net proceeds. Net proceeds, the amount of the proceeds given to the customer for a new loan, a borrower renew, former borrower for that account period. So the amount of money that was given out, if you add the amount of money that was given out, then and it was given in, say, cash, it would be 1902.38. Now, additionally, if you had some money that was given out that was check proceeds, they would also show up as the same. So if you gave cash, you might have one amount, and this also shows how much of that money was check proceeds. And for this particular case, they both match because they were all checks, and it was the net proceeds for those checks. And then we have live check and instant funding. And live checks were loans that were made as live checks, and the instant funding loans made by direct funding to, say, a debit card. So that is the loan transaction totals. And we actually, in the documentation, have some formulas and then how these numbers up here add to make the totals if they are in the loan transaction section. And take a look at the documentation if you have any questions about that, and it will show you the formulas. Also show how these numbers add up from the top to make the totals section at the bottom. And that is the end of this training video. Thank you very much.